Can you hear me now? I think I don't want to have this one on as my main one. I might have had to, I connected my camera different today. Barbara, can you hear me? Oh, good. Darn, you missed all my beginning part. Okay, sorry. I'll have to go back and edit this video and cut out the beginning part. Okay, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Tracy with Print Cut Craft. I help you guys learn how to use your Cricut machine. But today I wanted to go over a lot of the things that questions people are asking about design space. And so sad you missed the beginning part. Okay, so like if you have a Cricut machine, you're thinking of getting a Cricut machine, you need to have software to cut your projects. So like you can see this on my t-shirt. I have some words on my t-shirt. And so say I wanted to cut these words on my t-shirt. Well, I need a file to cut that. Generally, it's called an SVG file, scalable vector graphic. And or you could do a PNG but that's going to be just like if it, like on my t-shirt, it's all black. I would want one color. You totally could do a PNG if you didn't want to make too many adjustments. So all you need to be able to get started with Cricut crafting is you do need a cutting machine. You're going to upload the software for Cricut Design Space, and you're just following the directions that Cricut gave you. They have really good directions on how to connect your machine. And once you connect it, some of the questions that people have been asking is, what is Design Space? And so basically it's this dashboard that you see right here. And so once you have a file, and I'll upload 2 different files to show you, this is where you're going to basically do all your designing and prep work. And so then once you have all of that done, you're going to send it to your machine through your USB connection or your Bluetooth connection. And so that way it's going to cut. So basically it's like baking. We're mixing everything up and getting it ready to go. And once we're ready to basically put it in the oven, we're going to use to send it to the cutting machine. So right now we're kind of baking our idea of like what we're going to be cutting. So that's basically what the dashboard is. And so it has buttons along the top and all three main sides that show different things and do different actions. And so that's basically what Design Space is. Even though I have nothing on the dashboard just yet, I will in a little bit. And then it was talking about what devices can I use? I'm going through and answering a bunch of common questions that you guys have had about Design Space. What designs can I use on Design Space? Or where can you use Design Space? And so you can use it with your desktop computer, which is what I use. It's my favorite. Some people like to do iPads. Some people like to use their phones. I definitely do not like to use my phones, but it's too small. And so I definitely like, for me, the desktop for me is how I like it the best. And once you learn and figure it out, you're going to have your favorite way to do this, and that's great. So whatever works for you is what you should continue doing. Okay, so and then another question we get is, do I need a Cricut machine to use Design Space? And technically the answer is yes, because you're going to have that machine to plug in. And then once you have, you can get a link, I think, from Cricut to download Design Space onto your computer. But if you don't have anything to cut with, it's kind of useless. So you really do need both. You need Design Space software on your computer, and you need a cutting machine to cut stuff out. So, and if you guys have questions about like Design Space, I might be going over some of them today, but if you have questions, pop them in the comments and I can help you. Okay, so then we're gonna go over some troubleshooting things too. So the next question is the biggest one is, how do I upload something? And it's really, really easy to upload something, but you need to have a file first. So Cricut does have free access currently, so where you can do limited amount of actions for free. So I can use my dashboard, I can upload files, and I can use most of the buttons. I think 99% of the buttons. Some of them, if you want something fancy, like if you want a specific shape, you may have to pay for it out of the Cricut shop. Or if Cricut does have a Cricut Access membership, where you can download a lot of projects where they give you a lot of SVG files. Now, what they don't give you is a lot of like how-tos to go with them. And a lot of times their how-tos are written. They're just in the written form. And being a old home ec teacher, and And when I got my Cricut, I was very frustrated. That's kind of how the whole pivot came for Print Cut Craft on doing live workshops and doing these workshops instead of just doing more recorded workshops for you guys, because I was so frustrated with learning how to use the machine. And I knew there had to be a better way. And so in my teaching background, that's why we give you pre-recorded videos, we give you instruction booklets, we give you the SVG files, and we teach it live too. So that way, if you have questions, you can come and pop into the class live, whether if you're in our club or the workshop or our subscription box or one of our live workshops that we do. So we try to cover all teaching styles for you so that it makes it easiest for you guys to learn. Okay, so you have to have a machine, you have to have design space. You can pay for Cricut access if you want extra features, or you can just buy things you like on Etsy or in my shop or lots of other places. You can even get a lot of free things online. And so you can start to gather a little library of SVG files. And so now that you have these files, we're going to go upload some. So I'm going to show you two different files. Hey, Wendy, we're going to go upload a PNG file and we're going to upload a SVG file. And so I wanted you to see the difference. They act differently. And so when I first started, I was really intimidated by SVG files. And now that once you play around with it a couple times and get over the intimidation factor of it, and we'll walk you through all of that. Like if you're in our club, I'm there to help you. We have craft ambassadors, Judy and Janine, who are there to help you. And Judy even gets on Zoom calls to help people sometimes if they need extra help. So we're going to upload a file. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do. So on the left-hand side, we're just going to go click this upload button. And I'm going to go to this green button that says upload image. And then you can browse your files, or you could drag a file here. I like to just drag a file, but you could totally browse, like search your files. But if I'm just going to click and drag one from, hopefully I'm going to click and drag one over here. I'm going to drop it into the blue section and it's going to pull it up. So this happens to be a flower that's going to go in our subscription box for this month. So we're making, I'm not going to tell you what we're making in case you haven't got your subscription box yet. I'll keep that a surprise, but this is part of the elements that are in there. So then I click the green button and this looks good. So this checkered background means it has a transparent background, which is exactly what you want. So this is a SVG file, which means when I upload it, I can ungroup it and I can move these elements around. Now, if you have a PNG, everything is stuck together and you can't do anything besides stretch it bigger or smaller. Now, you can't rearrange it easily. Everything is just stuck together. So that's why I really like to train our students, like when you come in, let's just start using SVG files immediately, because that's what it's so versatile and it's going to be helpful to you to know how to use an SVG file. Because if you want to say one flower you want to have pink, one yellow, one blue, you're going to be able to do that easily with an SVG file. If you try to do that with a PNG, that's not going to happen. So right here, once you upload it, because it's an SVG, it should always have the transparent background is what you're looking for. And then you're just going to keep clicking the green go buttons, like it just follow the green light. So you're going to click upload. So now it's sent it to our dashboard and it's now sitting on they call it the canvas, I call it dashboard. This is just where we design stuff. So you can see over here, this is where it shows what files are currently on your dashboard. And you can see there's a little arrow and it shows each individual piece. Now I'm going to move this over here and I'm going to upload. Let me find another one to upload. That's a PNG. We just did a bonus little workshop for, let me drag this over here. We just did a bonus workshop for our club. And so we made cupcake toppers. And so this is a PNG, you're looking for images and everything's going to be stuck together and you'll see that in a second. So that looks fine. I'm going to click the green button. Green means go. We've got our transparent background, which is what we want. You can upload different files and you can erase the background and do different things if you want to do that. I like to just start off by the get-go. If you've never used PNGs or SVGs, just make sure they're always going to have transparent backgrounds. The things that are not going to have transparent backgrounds are JPEGs and things like that. So as long as you're sticking with SVGs and PNGs, you can just keep clicking the green button. We're going to upload it. Now this is where it's new. Cricut has updated some of their software. And so now we have a couple different options. One, if you want to start a trial with Cricut Access, they can take your design and make a simplified version of the layers. Or if you want to just cut out the shapes, you can just do this way. I'm going to do it as a print and cut, and I'll show you what that looks like. So if you wanted to make stickers or scrapbook embellishments or things like that, that's what you could do this for. So I wanted to print out what it is. And so, but it's the same exact thing. It's just going to cut this shape out right here. It's just going to have, I'm going to print it first and then I'm going to cut it. So we'll just click continue. And it's got a transparent background. I'm happy with everything. We're going to click the green button. Okay, so now if you go over here, you can see it's only one layer on the layers panel. There's no arrow next to it. You can't expand it, and everything is stuck together. So there's nothing I can do to this besides resize it, like shrink it bigger or smaller. Now let's make this one smaller. Now this one, because it has different layers, this little box is illuminated. That's the ungroup. So if you click ungroup and click off of it and click back on, like I can go recolor these different colors. Like if I want one flower out of yellow, one out of orange, one out of who knows what, purple, then I can. And so that's why it makes it so versatile to use an SVG versus a PNG. The only way to get these to not stick together is a more advanced technique called slicing, or to upload them by themselves. And so that's definitely slightly more advanced, but that's definitely, I wanted to show you two different ways to use Design Space with the PNG and SVG. So that's that. And so then some of the other questions we're getting is, how do you weld or attach items together? So, well, let's take this flower. Let's just say you want to make your own shape. And like, let's just say you wanted to cut out like that. There's different ways you can connect these together. So if you want to make a whole brand new shape, you can go over here to combine and you can do different things. If you weld it together, it's going to make one large shape. So now it's just one shape. So I'm going to click this undo button. And so then I'm going to click and drag and select it again. And let's just see. Well, let's just click attach. So if you click attach, it's still going to have the three flowers, but you can see there's a little black line, so you can see the actual flowers. That's actually going to be a cut line still, but that's how you grouped it together. So if you want, for some reason, for this to cut in a group in a specific way on your paper or whatnot, wherever you're cutting it out, that's how you can do that. So that was one of our other questions. And then some people are saying, so let me switch it to this. I'm going to go over some of the common questions we're getting. So some people are asking, their machine won't connect. And so some troubleshooting things that you can do for that are, let me close some of my windows here. Obviously check for software updates. Cricut does update their software. I don't even know how often, but pretty regularly. And sometimes it can be glitchy, or if they have a really big update, it could be glitchy. You might need to update it again to kind of get past some of those things that they went and fixed. But whenever, if all else fails, my husband always tells me whenever I'm having tech problems, restart your computer, and 99% of the time that solves the problem. So if you're having Cricut problems, I would update the software, and also I would restart my computer. And also some people use Bluetooth. I happen to just plug mine in with USB, just because where I live, we're kind of out in slightly outside of our town. And so depending on where you are in our house, Wi-Fi isn't always the best. And so Bluetooth isn't always going to be as reliable. And so I use a USB, but sometimes if you're using Bluetooth, you might be too far away from your computer or from your machine. You might have to be closer. So you're just going to have to test a bunch of these little things. And then also you can always check the Cricut website, and they do have help, like some tech help if you have something that's like, it seems to be like a mechanical problem with your machine, or sometimes it's a software problem. And so sometimes it is good to call them up and just say, hey, I'm having this issue. Is this something that's happening with everybody else, or is it just me? And they might have a solution that can help you, or you might have found a bug that they didn't know about and they probably want to know about. Okay, so some of the other questions we're getting is uneven cuts. Now, this happens to me a lot, and I don't have any right here. Let me see if I feel this way. I just cut, we're doing Scrabble tiles for our monthly craft club project. And so I have a brand new blade in my machine. So if you're having you have vinyl on your cutting mat, it's not cutting great. Hang on, let me get some water. Some of the things, the first things I would think about to fix is, one, how well is it stuck to your cutting mat? Sometimes your cutting mat's so non-sticky anymore that it kind of can move your paper or vinyl around. That will make it not cut well. Two, your blade is dull and it's not cutting well and it's time to replace it. Or three, you didn't pick the correct material. So let's go over here and pretend we're going to pick a material for this so you can see what that looks like. So let's just say we're going to make this. This is going to be like, I'm going to have to send this to my printer, but this I'm saying I'm going to cut out of vinyl. So let's hide this guy right here. And we're just going to focus on this little one. I'm going to click make it. You can save it or not. I'm not going to save it. And then it's going to show you your cutting mat. And so I'm going to switch mine to my smaller cutting mat because I don't need a larger one because this is small. And then I'm going to click the green button. Green keeps meaning go, go, go. So once I'm done with the step, I'm going to check it. And then I got to turn my machine on. So then it's going to search for your machine. And because mine is, it was not on, I had to turn it on real quick. And so it'll take it a second to find it. And then you're just going to pick how you have yours connected. And then once you do that, it'll let you pick the materials. And so these are all my favorites. And so you can go over here and browse materials. And let's just say we're going to just do vinyl. And then you can see all the different kinds of vinyl. And you can see where I have a little green flag. The little green flag means that's my favorite. So I only have, let me go back out of here. I only have 12 spots for my favorites and I filled every one up. These are the things that I use a lot. Like I could take crepe paper off. I don't use that one as much and add something else if I wanted. But for the most part, I use a lot of these quite often. And so having them bookmarked and handy is just time saving. And so you'll find once you have your favorite materials, you're going to bookmark them and save them. And so like this one, I'm going to use the most, which is my glossy vinyl that I use. And so this is where you can also make some adjustments if things aren't cutting correctly. First of all, if you didn't pick the correct one, you can click this title right here and change it. Just browse your material and then pick one. But we'll just pick this again. So another reason why you could have trouble cutting is because if your blade is getting a little bit dull, before I give up on a blade, I will do more pressure, or if it's cutting too deep, I'll do less. But otherwise, for the most part, you're going to have it set on default. And so that's something that you can look for to make some adjustments on your cutting. Now, if you guys follow me and you've been following me for the last few weeks, I put a blade in my Cricut machine. It is the sharpest blade I think I've ever had because if it cuts too deep, it cuts into, let me show you this. It cuts into this is part of our project for our monthly club, the wax paper. So I weeded this design and so it cuts. So the Cricut machine cuts just enough to cut your design out without cutting into the wax paper backing. But if your blade is brand new, sometimes even with default pressure, it can cut into the wax paper backing. And so when you take this design, transfer it onto transfer tape, you'll see some like ripped paper on here, some cut paper on the wax paper backing. And that means your blade cut too deep. And it's totally fine. It's still usable. You can rescue it. You just have to clean it up with your weeding tool and peel away the extra paper on the back and then go about your day and stick your design wherever you want it. And so those are the basic things if you're having issues with cutting. And then we talked about uploading. We welded we did weld that. Yeah, we welded that together. If you want to make a new design, I'm just trying to go over the most main questions you guys normally ask us. But I definitely wanted to go over what is the desktop and what does it mean for people who don't really, you might have a Cricut machine that's sitting on your shelf that you got from a family or a friend, or a lot of people have a Cricut machine that's still sitting in the box. Not a problem. I just want you to get it out of the box or off the shelf and dust it off and use it. So if any of these questions help you get it out of the box and start to plug it in and start to use it, that's great. Okay, so the last question I wanted to go over was mirroring or flipping. And so like if you're gonna do, it's opposite here. If you're gonna do, say, words on a t-shirt, I have a design that's all on one side and it's just a bunch of different words. And so this for t-shirts, you would probably use heat transfer. And so heat transfer, you have to mirror the design. So when you cut it out, you weed it, take away all the excess, and then you're going to lay it on your shirt. You need to mirror it so it's flipped over. So when you're pressing it, the words look correct. If you don't mirror it in your design, which I'll show you, let's just type a word and I'll show you how to mirror it. Then when you go to press it, it's going to be backwards and you don't want that. So I'm going to cancel out of this. And I'll cancel out of this. We need to type a word. So let's just go to the text tool. Okay, so I'm going to just delete that. So let's just say we want this on our t-shirt. Let's make this bigger. So if you go to cut it, it's going to remind you for heat transfer that you have to mirror or flip the design. So and then depending on what you're doing, let me just show you like another way to flip something. Let's just say, let's see if it does this with the PNG. You can go over here to flip and you can rotate things. And so now your words are backwards. You wouldn't really want this for a printable, but I just wanted to show you that you do have options here because sometimes there are items that I do want to flip because I wanted a different direction. Like I don't know. Let's say a lemon with a leaf. Well, I want it to be on the left side instead of the right kind of thing. That's why you might flip or mirror right here. So I'm going to turn that off. But let's say we want this on our t-shirt today. So I'm going to click make it. I'm going to pick heat transfer. I'm going to do my smaller cutting mat. Click continue. Pick my machine. And what's awesome is Cricut reminds you what you need to know. So I'm going to click my machine and then I'm going to look for my favorite, which is my everyday iron-on, which is what I use. So unless you're using Cricut products, you can browse Cricut products and it'll tell you exactly which one to use. But these are the standard settings for standard material that you could find at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatnot. So I clicked everyday iron-on, which is heat transfer. And so it's going to give you a little warning. Hey, make sure you mirror or turn on the mirrored thing, which we will in just a second. And then make sure if you're doing iron-on material, the shiny side down. So then I'm going to go over here and edit it. And you have this little button right here and it'll mirror it and then it'll flip it. So when you're cutting it, it'll cut out perfectly for you. So then you're going to click done and then you'll follow the prompts to, you'll load the material onto your cutting mat and you're going to cut it. So that is just, I think, another question you guys had about Design Space. So do you guys have any other questions that you want me to ask about Design Space? I'm happy to help. If I miss your question, I can always come back in and type it into the chat. But I think I covered all the main questions you guys were asking about. I just wanted to do a quick tutorial today for our Handmade Happy Hour on what to do for Design Space. So I hope that helped. And if you guys have a machine you haven't used or you're intimidated to use it, come on over, check us out. Hop on one of our live classes that we do. We're not doing another live workshop until probably August or maybe September, but we have, if you join our club or if you're in our subscription box, we're actually doing a really fun thing, which I need to get a link. I'll post a link in here after the fact, but we're doing a free event January 11th and 12th. And I'm not doing a vinyl project, but it's 14 of my crafty friends. They're not all crafty. They're my business friends. Most of them are crafty. Most of them are doing craft projects, but there's bakers, there's boutique owners, there's t-shirt designers, there's all sorts of people that are going to come and do a workshop on the 11th and 12th from basically like 10 to 5 each day. And so that'd be a fun way to kind of just get an introduction of like what I do at Cricut Craft, but also all of my other fun business friends are doing a free event with me. And so it's called Jingle Mingle. And so I'll pop in the link, but you can just go over to our Facebook group, sign up, and enter into a grand prize giveaway we're doing on a few days after Jingle Mingle. But it is just a fun-filled event full of all sorts of information and projects. So I'm going to be doing a DTF transfer. I'm going to show all the different ways you can use a DTF transfer in your crafting. We're going to do it on, do I have any right here? No, I took them away, I moved them, darn. But I'm going to be crafting with acrylic. We're going to press on acrylic. So you could use your iron, you could use your Cricut heat press, you could use your big heat press like I'm going to use behind me. And then we're going to do t-shirts. We're going to make a placemat. Like it's a Christmas in July thing. So it's going to be Christmassy kind of things. We're going to do a gift bag, printing, taking a transfer and adding it to a gift bag. And so that's going to be a fun event that's happening coming up next week. For me, I am teaching Thursday, the 11th at 11 a.m. So come join me. But if you guys have questions about Design Space, pop them in here. I'm happy to help. And if you need specialized help, join our club. Judy is happy to do one-on-one calls with you guys and get on a Zoom and help you figure out anything you're stumbling with and get you on the road to crafting. So anyway, that's what we got for you today for our Friday Handmade Happy Hour. I will chat with you guys next Friday. That is during Jingle Mingle, so I'll have to figure that one out and how I'm going to navigate that. I might make our Jingle or Handmade Happy Hour Thursday this next week during my live, my 11 a.m. live, just to combine two things at once. So that'll be a fun event. So anyway, I'll chat with you guys later. Have a good Friday.